Welcome to the practice for the week. So grab 2 blocks and we will go ahead and get started by laying back onto the back in constructive rest. So the feet are about sitting bones distance apart. The reason we do that is so that we are settling into the belly as well as the vagus and the psoas muscles. This gives the nervous system a chance to settle and soften. And so we'll just let the body breathe itself here for the next several moments, giving ourselves a chance to really welcome whatever we're feeling in the body, giving it a chance to be supported completely by the ground, the mat, and then ultimately the earth below. Just giving yourself this chance to just feel. Notice any tension in the neck or the shoulders. And just give it the opportunity to settle on its own. Setting the intention possibly for practice that it's more of a welcoming practice to just really see and feel and notice without forcing the body or thinking mind for that matter to be any different than it is in the moment. And just settling here, noticing if there's any holding patterns in the body, in the spine, even in the belly, and maybe even in the feet. Just kind of feeling out as the whole body rests here. And when you feel ready, begin to find the breath a little bit more, starting to fill the belly and the rib cage, and exhaling, allowing it all to settle back out, remembering that we harness our breathing as a deep component, really the most important component of the practice in yoga. And ultimately what we're doing is harnessing the nervous system, or creating the experience for the nervous system to find its way to settle back down. At any point in practice, if you notice that you're feeling anxious or strained, or the breath doesn't feel smooth, give yourself the opportunity to slow the exhale back down. Maybe even come back to this posture, or even child's pose, to settle the system down completely. And just bring some awareness as the breath is moving in and out of the body. Just notice what thinking mind is moving with. Sometimes a thought or an emotion or the sensation of the breeze on your skin may draw us off into the whole experience of that moment or that thought or that emotion, and it takes us from the present moment. Practice is always about coming back to the present moment experience and being able to meet it and greet it exactly as it is. Again, we have the breath as a way to settle in a little deeper. So just give yourself the opportunity here to notice and feel. And we'll be here for a little bit longer, just filling the belly, filling the rib cage, letting the breath expand both. And even when we get moving, we'll pull the belly in gently so that we have more support for the lower back. Check into the hinges of your jaw. the muscles at the back of your eyes as they soften, and always noticing wherever you feel tension. It may be in the shoulders or the chest, it may be in the hinges of your jaw, wherever you hold your tension, that is what we are going to be noticing. And again, in that same experience, welcoming it instead of forcing it away or forcing it to be different. And it's a lovely experience in our practice that we can take out into all the other aspects of our daily life. And so again, the breath is nice and strong. Start to firm the belly in, and we'll draw that right knee towards the right shoulder, either clasping below the knee or at the back of the leg. And keep that left knee bent in the moment, foot on the ground, so that you're hugging the inner thigh, that left inner thigh, towards the center line. Massaging into the ascending colon at this point. Remember really being nice to the knee joint. So if it's cranky, you can shift the grip maybe to the back of the right thigh or the back of the hamstring. Just maybe even finding a little bit of movement back and forth there, massaging through the hip joint, getting some work and space. Let the leg be heavy here. And allow the lower back to press down a little bit more. So check that left foot. Notice if there's any squeezing of the foot to the ground or pressing down into just the ball of the foot. Really make sure your heel and the ball of the foot are down. Back line of the neck is long, and when you're ready, you can extend that left leg long along the floor and really engage it as deeply as you want to. So we need to be mindful that we're trying to open up that left hip flexor, but if it's too cranky right now, no pressure, don't force it. You can engage by squeezing the muscles of the left leg, flexing the left toes, the whole left ankle. Again, that right leg super heavy, drawing in towards the belly. And so that as the leg is heavy, the pelvis is softening. A few more breaths here. Good. You can make it as active or as passive as you want. Let's go ahead and slide the left leg back into the chest, and the right knee can release and the right foot stays on the floor now. So the right knee is bent, left leg comes towards the left shoulder. Again, that gentle hug of the right thigh to the center line, just kind of feeling out, noticing what's happening in that left hip joint. The leg is heavy, the ankle is passive, so that the softness happens in the hip joint. That right shoulder pulls back down, back line of the neck is staying long. And as it feels right, that right leg can start to slide out. So maybe it goes all the way down. Maybe it stops wherever it's most comfortable in your body. Again, there's no pressure here for it to be anything other than what feels best for you. That left thigh coming in a little bit more, massaging into the descending colon at this point. Nice strong breath, strong right arm as well. Keeping that right foot flexed, toes up. About 3 to 4 more breaths here. Settle the jaw, settle the eyes, and let's bend that right knee in and keep the knees wide at this point. So knees coming to the shoulders, and just kind of roll slightly from side to side. Check out the lower back. See what's happening in the hips. Back of the neck is long. And just a few more rounds here. Maybe even kind of roll the hips a little bit. Just giving the lower back some work to stretch out. You might feel this in the glutes. And even in the arms, it's a lot of work pulling those legs in. And now we can draw the knees towards each other. That can be dynamic in the hip joints. If that's uncomfortable, sometimes wrapping the arms around the base of the hamstrings is a little bit more comfortable behind the calf muscles there. And then just fill the belly, fill the breath. So the rib cage is really the recipient of this expansion on the inhale, and the lower back can root down a little more on the exhale. Still just noticing any tension. Belly is soft. The thighs pulling together towards the belly, engaging and massaging into the transverse colon here. So we have a nice little series for digestive and excretory systems. And then we'll gently take the legs up to the ceiling. Go ahead and just kind of wiggle around. Check out the ankles, scrunch the toes, roll the ankles around. Good. Remember, if your hamstrings are tight, those knees being bent is totally legal. No way to do this wrong. Good. And the knees can be as bent or as straight as possible. And then super squeeze the muscles of the legs, all the muscles, inside line, quads, calf muscles, squeeze all the muscles on the leg. And then we'll bend the knees and bring the feet mat width apart. And slowly tick-tock your legs back and forth from side to side. And notice what your arms want to do. Sometimes we get super caught up in the legs, we forget about the arms. So maybe one goes one direction, one goes in another. Still moving those legs back and forth. And then when it feels good, we'll just drop the legs to the right and breathe up into that left lung. Like really open it up. Maybe the left arm goes over the head. And in the moment here, let your chin go to the right. And keep breathing here. Keep filling the belly. And then softening the exhale back out. Noticing where your left arm is comfortable. Maybe if you want to deepen it, you can take that right ankle to the left knee. And that's going to pull a lot more around that hip joint. You may feel it in the hip flexor or back in the SI joint. So be super careful. Super nice to your lower back. We do not want this to make it more uncomfortable in the body. We're really just taking this nice, long, luxurious time to really warm the body and the big joints before we get movement pattern back in. So big inhale here. And then on the exhale, we'll slowly take that right leg off and bring the knees back to center. Belly is firm. Tick-tock gently side to side. See what it feels like now. And then when you're ready, we'll let those knees fall to the left. Good. This time the right arm goes up over the head, finding a way and a space for it to feel comfortable. And check in with your arms. This is my cranky shoulder, so my arm is a lot more bent and not as high up. So just kind of give it a chance to find some comfort. If there's any discomfort at all, please don't force. It's usually a sign of the body needing a break or to readjust. And most of the time, our brain is too busy to listen. So the breath is big and smooth here, expanding that right lung specifically. Knees just falling to the left. When you feel ready, that left ankle can make its way onto the right knee. And if on this side it doesn't feel right having that pressure, then release the leg, release that left foot. If not, just be nice to that right hip flexor, right SI joint, all the space, even down the right erector spinae muscle, we can start to feel those spaces. So it's really interesting. And again, just nice and slow to really allow ourselves the opportunity to notice here. Nothing too crazy. Big breath. And unravel those legs and again come back to the feet on the floor, tick-tocking back and forth. And we'll roll onto the right side and gently come all the way to hands and knees and give ourselves, again, a nice long, luxurious round of cat-cow. Firm the belly, root the fingers, pads of the fingers supporting the musculature of the arms staying engaged. So that when you exhale, you're pushing the floor away from you, pulling the belly in, inhaling, tilting the pelvis, shoulders pull back. And again, be nice to the neck here. Really let yourself unfold. We're not going to find the deepest expression on the first version of it. And we know these things, but we push anyway. So try to catch yourself if you start pushing towards it. Really squeeze the muscles of the legs as well. And we're going to move through this several more times. Again, there's no rush. If I move along to something else and you want to stay in the posture we're in, please do that. It's your practice. I'm the external guide with the voice, and your breath is your internal guide. So listen to that. And find those places maybe in the spine that feel tight. If there's any wiggling around side to side, maybe letting the neck be heavy. Good. So let's take about 3 more rounds and see what you can do to slow down. What can settle the system? Can you slow your breathing down even more? Shoulder blades down the back on the inhale. Belly pulls in on the exhale. And then widen the knees and let's make our way to child's posture. And just let yourself melt here. Big breath right up into the back of the lungs. If you want to turn the head, maybe now turn the head to the right. About 3 breaths here. And notice what your arms want to do. Just follow along with what your body is asking for. Maybe one arm going in one direction, the other arm doing its own thing. Soften the face and the jaw. And after this round of breath, we'll turn the head to the left and give ourselves the opportunity to stay in child's pose, chin to the left shoulder, for about 3 more breaths here. Nice and slow with your exhale. No force, no way to do this wrong. Just letting this gentle shift of gravity take the spine, the internal organs, drawing some stretch out of the hamstrings and the glutes, especially the lower back. This is a yummy spot for that. If your arms are back behind you, go ahead and bring the palms under the shoulder and then slide them forward. Push the hands into the ground and then come way up on the tips of your fingers. Hasta Bandha, brain sucker fingers. Good, really reaching the arms forward, palms lifted, pinkies, pads of the fingers rooting down. Big inhale here, reaching those arms forward, tailbone back. And we'll slowly make our way back up onto the knees. And in a neutral position, go ahead and root down into the hands again. And reach that right leg back behind you, nice and straight with the leg in line with the hip, and then also the pelvis parallel to the floor. So really give yourself the opportunity here to stay parallel. And then slowly belly firms in. If you want, you can tuck those left toes underneath you, which gives you a bit more rooting. Squeeze the muscles of the arms. Get those triceps engaging too. Grip the muscles of the legs. And then go ahead and pull that right knee towards the right elbow, even up to the shoulder. Belly squeezes in. Go ahead, big inhale here. Suck the belly in nice and firm. Good. You can even flex that foot to give a bit more work there. It's tough, but give it a shot. Right foot comes forward towards the right hand. If your blocks are close by, grab them, put them at the front of the mat. And we'll kind of drop into this forward lunge to find some of that left hip flexor. So the hands could be however high on the blocks. If you don't have blocks, cushions are great. And let's begin by opening out that right hamstring. And over these next rounds of breath, nice and slow, we'll inhale forward into the lunge and then gently find the exhale back into the hamstring. I like that left foot tucked under, those left toes tucked under. It really supports the hamstring pressing into the femur. And so just notice what it feels like in your body. Again, being gentle with the neck. Nice and smooth. Let your breath begin first, then the body will follow along. So there's no force to the movement, just letting the breath fill space. And as it fills space, it creates space, more space too. And then we'll stay with moving the breath and the body in the movement. Don't forget to flex that right foot when we're opening the hamstring, and really dig the ball of the foot and the heel on that right foot when we're in the lunge. Good. Notice the neck, let it soften out if it needs to. And then let's stay here for a bit. Check into that right foot, squeeze the glute, squeeze that lift through the hamstring a little bit and lengthen up through the back line of the neck. You can press down into the hands, the groin lifts, the belly lifts, chest lifts. And find that right foot really deeply. Squeeze everything to the center line. And very slowly we'll take it back into that hamstring stretch for several rounds here. Just give yourself the opportunity to really marinate. So take your time to set the posture up so that you're using the floor to bounce the work from. So we're pushing down into the left knee, down into the ball of the foot. Right heel can push down a little bit, but if anything, pull that right kneecap up towards the hip so you're expanding the width of the hamstring at the back and firing up into that right leg. If it feels safe, go ahead and interlock the fingers at the lower back and then reach the arms back. But if you feel the wobbles, don't freak out. Slow your exhale down, and if you still feel wobbly, bring the hands back down. We don't want to do this to the detriment of the nervous system. We really want to be present with settling down the nervous system. Very deep posture, so give yourself the opportunity to lighten it up a little bit if you need to at any point. Press the tailbone back, about 2 more breaths. When you're ready, pull the belly in. And we'll gently slide the right foot back a couple of inches, Bend the right knee, glide forward, and turn those right toes out towards about 2 o'clock. Top of the left foot can come down, right hand onto the thigh, and root your left arm. So we're working the twist here. Let the twist happen from the lower ribs. The right shoulder can come back. Squeeze the groin, lift the belly. If the neck is cranky, let the neck hang. No force. So we're still squeezing the inner thighs together to lift the groin, to lift up through the belly. Good. Big inhale, rooting down into the right heel. And on the exhale, come back to center. Go ahead, press into the right foot, hands down, tuck those left toes, lift the left knee. Big inhale here, long spine. Root down into that right shin. Arms reach back, launch the chest forward. Big inhale here. Bend the back knee and step that left foot forward. Drop into a forward fold here. Knees can be as bent as you need. Wiggle around. Breathe into the hamstrings. Again, we've only done one side, so give yourself a break. No forcing, no jamming yourself into anything. Just dangle the spine here. Be strong in the legs. Big inhale into the back body. Let's bend the knees and launch the chest forward. And then forward fold again. And start to really root your left foot down. Pushing into the left foot, and very softly we'll press the right leg back, then the left leg, and come to the knees. And cat-cow here. Give your spine a chance to feel. Notice your right erector spinae muscle after that hamstring got some extra love in all that work. So feel it out. Feel what's happening there. Feel how different it is. Notice if you feel any difference on the left side. Still pulling the belly, launching the lower ribs forward. On the exhale, belly pulls in. Strong arms. Squeeze those arms. Squeeze those arms. Good. Left leg's going to go back now, flexing the foot, balancing the pelvis. Tuck those right toes under if that feels good. Stay there and squeeze the belly in. Root down into the hands. Keep lifted through the front body. Now on the exhale, bend that left knee and it comes to the elbow, maybe even slides up to the left shoulder. Press into your right arm. Notice how you're leaning. Try not to lean out to the right. Pull everything into the core. It makes it even more miserable. I'm totally with you there. And then that left foot comes back to the floor. Good. And then we start to find that gentle rock back and forth. Lunging here. Maybe slide that right knee back a little if you feel that you have the space. And we'll stay forward for just a minute to let that right hip flexor open, dig into the left leg, left foot. Spine can be long here. Notice if it's nice on your neck to lift the chin. If not, get long through the spine. Let's go ahead and grab those blocks. And then press down into the hands and back into the hamstring stretch. Here we go. So we know that this was kind of a nice long marinating flow on the right side. So we'll work into the same on the left. And notice where that hamstring and the hip flexor let you find right away. Just give yourself the time and the breath, most importantly, to work back and forth. About 5 more breaths here. When it feels right, notice what's happening and then find that stillness back into the hamstring stretch. We needed to get a little bit more on this one. And then notice if those right toes tucked under work well for you or not. See if the exhale can slow down a little bit more. And then settle into the experience of being still in the hamstring. We want to have deep roots into the earth so that the lightness we create is its opposite, the lift up through the chest and the torso, keeping that left quad as firm as possible, but be nice to your left knee. If the hamstring is super tight, please don't pop it or grind into the great discomfort of getting really close to that, because that's just miserable. We want the body to have a positive reaction, which will help in turn create a little dopamine response, and it feels good. That way the body feels good. We don't need to force or jam ourselves into anything. Check the shoulders, let the back of the neck stay long. And then very gently we'll lunge forward again to the left foot and turn those left toes out about 10 o'clock. The right arm can come down onto the floor, the right hand, and then bring the left hand onto that left thigh. So there's this gentle external rotation, but as the right hand pushes down, we lift up through the groin, the belly, and the chest. Maybe that left hand goes onto the left thigh and we'll create a little bit of a twist there. So then open those right lower ribs. Good. And big breath into the back of the body. Keep the torso lifted really strong in that right arm. It's a lot of work happening in the arms in this practice, and also because we're going slow. Big inhale, lift the groin, lift the belly, lift the chest. And then turn those toes forward again, right toes tuck under. High lunge here, strong legs, dig into that left foot, balance the pelvis, belly pulls in, lift the torso a little and the arms reach back. Imagine you're squeezing those glutes and inner thighs towards each other deeply. Big inhale here. And then very gently bend that right knee, right foot steps forward, forward fold. Let yourself feel this here. Nice gentle release of just dangling the spine. Notice if the feet need to shift their presentation. The neck is soft, the arms are soft. And then gently heel toe those feet together. Bend the knees and we'll move into Utkatasana, chair posture. So the weight goes back into the heels, knees squeeze, thighs squeeze, groin lifts, belly lifts, chest lifts, shoulders drop down. Take that left elbow or arm, either one, between the knees. Just depends on how it feels in your back. And then we'll start to spin ourselves open to the right. So again, the idea the left lower ribs spin around the axis of the spine. The neck can stay straight. Right hand can stay on the back. That helps me kind of notice what's happening in the balance of my pelvis. Big breath across the chest. And gently unravel forward again. Good. Forward fold. And you know that we are going to head back to the other direction. So bend those knees. Belly stays firm, weight back in the heels. Right arm now comes either the right arm or the elbow into between the legs. Glutes are strong. And get long in your spine first. Make a long spine, and then the twist happens. We want the length to create the space in between the vertebrae. And then we gently roll around the axis of the spine. Big inhale here. And forward fold. Let the neck go, let the jaw soften. And very slowly step back and drop to the knees. And come down onto your forearms. So we'll get some shoulder work here. So grab opposite elbows. That's a good way to test that you are shoulder width apart. And then come forward so shoulders are over the elbows. Arms open out like the sides of an H. Thumbs dig down. Whole palm really presses. Step your right leg back and then your left leg and pull the belly in. Here we are in plank, our favorite space. And we'll very gently drop that right hip towards the floor, belly in, back to center. And left hip down, center. Keep going here. Right hip drops down. Pull the shoulder blades back. Left hip down. Left shoulder blade comes back. And we'll keep going here. This is for our obliques. It's for our whole core, but really into the obliques. Couple more times here. A lot happening. Good. Belly in. Dropping to the left, center, right, center. Few more breaths. Keep going. Almost there. One more each side. Shoulders back, that gets really hard. Center, knees down, toes point back, pelvis lands, belly button lands, and we gently ooze the spine forward. You can make a little pillow with the hands, forehead onto the hands. No work. Big inhales and exhales here, just letting yourself breathe deeply into the body, into the back of the body, even the front. It's interesting to feel the way the belly presses into the floor as you exhale here. So slowly those arms are going to slide back again. Line them up, elbow under shoulders, forearms parallel. Spread through all of the fingers. Gently lifting the chest here. And then stretch that right leg back. Point the toes and lift the right leg. Squeeze the right glute. Push the pelvis down. Pull the belly button towards the elbows back. Tuck those right toes under. Good. Press the heel back. And then feel this. We're creating this length along the right erector spinae muscle. Ball of the foot is in the earth. Heel pressing back. Lengthening the whole spine. Again, arms are still working hard. Shoulders try to draw themselves back together. Let's point that right foot and bring it down. Super exciting. We get to go to the other side. So lift the left leg. Squeeze those toes. Good. Squeeze and point the toes and then flex it. Hovering the left foot off the mat. If that feels okay, if it's too much, have the toes down, and then let's change. Release the left leg out, and then back down onto the belly, forehead to the hands. Big inhales and exhales here. There's a slightly Evel Knievel pattern emerging, and we will be revisiting it here in a few more breaths of trying to find the strength in the core. And in the strength, when you're strengthening the core, it's really great to do its opposite, which is back bends. So we're kind of getting this dance back and forth between the two. And slowly lift back up we'll bring ourselves back up onto the forearms. Tuck the toes underneath. Root the hands. Get the toes a little closer together if the feet had widened. Pull the belly in, thighs strong, and we'll lift up into plank. So try to keep the bum in line with the shoulders. Try not to let the lower back fall. And then we'll slowly drop from side to side. Right hip down here, shoulder back, balance to center. Left hip down, left shoulder towards the tail, back to center. Keep going. And try not to force yourself faster into the pose. Really linger slowly, which is worse. I know, I'm in it, but it's just so much more important, and it's a really important space to be safe from, or in, I should say. We really want to keep the spine safe, so if you have any metal or any cages or anything like that along the spine, it might not be the right thing to do today. So staying in the center and then gently drop the belly back down. Whew, that's always a tough one. Forehead back down onto the hands. And just give yourself a nice long rest here. About 30 more seconds. So we did the core piece. Now we'll move back into a little bit of that backward bending from a cobra position. So the hands will slide back, bring them almost towards the hip bones, maybe lower ribs, and push down into the arms, lift up. And keep the elbows bent. That's going to help us pull the shoulder blades down and even try to get the elbows back towards each other over the lower back. Strong legs, thigh bones down. And then slowly kneel back to hero's posture. And we'll sit up nice and tall. If you need anything underneath the ankles or maybe between the bum and the legs, do that. Maybe with a blanket. Right hand can go down, left arm can come up to the ceiling. And getting a nice long line along the left erector spinae muscle. Let your neck soften. See what needs to happen here as you still pull the shoulders back a little, getting a nice long line out of that oblique that we were squishing a little earlier. Big breath. Inhale all the way up to center, left arm down, right arm goes up, other side. Check that your right hip bone isn't lifting up off the ground. And if that arm and shoulder need a different option, you can always have the right arm across the chest, maybe out towards the right, if not over the head to the left. Let the neck soften, let the jaw soften. Good. And then very slowly, that right arm will come back up, and then we'll make our way back onto the belly. You can slide forward through a child's pose if you want. Pelvis lands, kind of roll it down nice and slow. And then the hands will come back by the lower ribs. Press down into the hands and squeeze the belly up. Almost like you're trying to press the hands down and back to launch the chest forward. Be nice to the neck. Notice where the breath is, where the breath isn't even. And bring the breath there and slowly come back onto the belly. Turn the forehead to the floor. Just take a little rest here. And we'll move into more chest openers. So we'll take that right arm out parallel to the right shoulder. Look down the line, make sure that right arm is nice and straight. And then the left elbow bends, palm under the left shoulder. If you need to shift that right arm, if it's too tight in the arm or across the pec, you can bend that right elbow. And then gaze down towards the mat. Bring your legs together and really root the inner line, and we'll roll onto the right side of the torso. Gaze can look to the left side of the mat. And then really flex your feet here. Tuck your tailbone down towards the heels to stay long out of the lower back. And then from here, if it feels good, that left knee could bend and you could bring the left foot behind the right knee. And that gives a little bit of opening, well, actually a lot of opening, across that left hip flexor, lengthens out through the hip itself, into the glute. And then be nice there with the breath. Really rooting that right arm down towards the earth. You can always keep that left leg straight down along with the right leg to support the lower back if it feels cranky. And then another option can be to draw that left knee towards the chest and either grab that left knee, pull it in. That can feel really good, but make sure that lower leg's really strong, right foot flexed. And then you could flex the left foot, grab the left toes with the left hand and kick the leg out and up. So there's a lot of dynamics. Right leg down and away from you, left leg up and back. Strength down through the right arm. So if that right shoulder is in any way, shape, or form uncomfortable, release. Don't force. If you want to play with it, you can have that left leg up without the use of the hand, which is kind of fun, a lot more core. And then slowly bring the left leg down first. Restack, get this core back strong and together, and then very gently make your way back to the belly. And then slowly turn the head to the right. So look down the length of the right arm, just to give the neck a gentle moment here to the opposite. Big breath into the back body. And then we'll slowly make our way to the other side. So left arm goes out this time. Really stretch out long through the arm. Spread through the fingers. Make sure you feel rooted. Again, you can bend the elbow if you need to. And then we'll slide that right hand underneath the right shoulder. Engage back through the legs and really flex those feet. Long line down that left leg. Keep it flexed to take the tailbone back. Right leg can be firm as well. Belly pulls in. Good. Notice what feels good here. So we're pressing down through that left leg a little bit as the whole torso rests. Right knee bends. Right foot behind the left knee. Again, just notice here, this might be it. Maybe letting that right knee fall back is enough opening for where you are in the moment today, and especially enough for that left shoulder. Softening the jaw, softening the face, checking in sweetly. Big inhale here, letting that hip settle in, and then bend that right knee towards the right shoulder. You can flex the foot if you want. You can pull that thigh towards you with the right hand and then maybe kick the leg up. Clasp around the big toes, big toe with the thumb and index finger. Breathe here. A lot of work happening. Big opening across the chest. Big inhale. And slowly, really let the rooting happen down into the mat. Allow that space to stay open straight across the chest. Slow release. That right knee bends, comes back behind. Left leg, slowly unravel your body back to the floor. Big inhale. And very gently turn your head to the left and just rest there. Big inhale into the back body. Let the legs be heavy. Whatever the arms need to do in the moment, welcome whatever they need you to do. And gently listen. And then slowly come back to center. Push down through the pelvis. The hands can push down to help bring the forehead to the floor. And we'll bend both knees, grab the ankles for Dhanurasana, floor posture, floor bow. Root down through your pelvis, root down through your thighs, but let the neck be heavy here. When it feels right, flex the toes, even flex the feet if you'd like, and kick the feet up and back so that the work is in the kick of the legs. Let your neck be heavy, opening up across the musculature of the neck. Big breath, lift up through the lower ribs. The pelvis pushes down, but the lower ribs push forward. Big breath, big, huge breathing, and then on the exhale, slowly bring it back down. And again, rest the forehead to the hands. Several more breaths here before we continue towards the back for more back bends. So we'll make our way back up onto the hands and knees, and then right over onto the back. Bring a block with you. Just gently come on to the back. We'll bring the feet a little bit wider than hips distance apart and lift ourselves up into a bridge. Now you can make this passive or active. So I've got my block. I'll show you the passive version. So I'm on either the lowest or the middle setting, right underneath the sacrum, so that the pelvis is resting deeply onto the block, allowing this to be a passive posture. And then the arms are stretching gently to the sides, but the feet are still working. There's a little bit of work happening in the feet feeling supported, but if you want to make this active, go ahead and dig down into the feet, lift the pelvis up nice and high, and shoulder to elbow really root down. And then to take it a little bit more, you could interlock your fingers underneath the pelvis so that you're in an active bridge here. And the arms are reaching to the heels, upper arms pushing down, lower ribs coming up. Neck is easy, neck is soft. If you feel any pressure in the neck, please come down, and you can do this in a more supported way, maybe with a blanket underneath the shoulders. But always lifting here. If you want, you can actually go a little deeper by tucking the palms, flipping the palms upward, and then tucking the hands underneath the heels, almost gripping the heels. So then you can lift, 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 lift here, and allow your body to stay rooting down through the feet and the shoulders, but this gentle lift happening, really expressing the posture deeply with the breath up through the rib cage, up through the pelvis. And then slowly the arms come out to the side, high on the toes, and slowly lower yourself all the way back down to flat on the ground. I like to take the feet wide, the knees fall together, just resting here. And then when it feels good, we'll get one last twist in before we get a rest in Shavasana. From here, let's take that left leg over the right leg, just a little cross here, and then just scooch the hips gently to the left a little, and we'll drop the knees to the right. And notice what's happening here. This can be very active or passive. What feels best in your body? So breath is full into that left lung. And as the knees are falling to the right, maybe that left arm goes over the head. And that helps get more length out of the vertebrae. And just see what's most delicious. See what's happening in your body here. Breathing and also just letting the weight of gravity take the body here. I find that sometimes when I really allow myself to let go deeply into a posture, I get all of the reward of the posture that I was trying to hope for with force. So again, just noticing here what can soften the jaw, the muscles of the eyes can begin their journey to resting. If you'd like, you can maybe turn your head to the left if that feels delicious, so you have the whole spine engaging and softening. We'll take about 3 more big inhales and exhales. Firm your belly as we roll back onto the back. And we'll come back out. And when you are back on your back, notice if there's any realignment that needs to happen. Maybe shift the pelvis, stretch out through the back line of the neck. You may already feel a little longer. And we'll take that right leg gently over the left leg, scooch the hips to the right a little, and then drop the knees to the left. And big inhale, that right arm finds its most delicious expression over the head or off to the side, so the breath fills and populates that right lung. Again, just allowing this experience of being supported by the floor completely. This big breath moving through the body. Again, absolutely no wrong way to be here. It's a gentle experience of letting the legs be heavy. They might slide on their own a little, and I usually just let them go. Let them do their thing. Again, the passive expression of the posture can be even deeper than the active expression of the posture, and that can be really interesting to experience. But again, it's your practice. Find the depth that feels most delicious. And we're here for about 5 more breaths. Check the hands, check the jaw, any places that might hold tension. Allow them to gently release. Big inhales here. Belly pulls in, roll back onto the back. And we'll very gently unravel the legs and come into grabbing the block again. And we'll take the block on its lowest setting, or maybe the middle setting, whatever feels best in your body, for sort of a version of shoulder stand without all the work of getting into shoulder stand. So the legs go straight up, right up over the hips. Make sure that the neck feels supported, the jaw is soft, and just let the legs go from here. Let the weight of the legs drop. If this is too much or you're on your cycle, you can do this without being on the block. If you're near a wall and you want to do legs up the wall instead, you could stay on the block. And then just feel what feels good. Again, we're challenging gravity to draw back down towards the torso and to the pelvis. Takes a lot of tension out of the legs. If you struggle with restless leg syndrome, this is a great thing to do. If you're a runner or bicyclist and really put a lot of miles on your legs, then this is a lovely expression of the posture. Settle the jaw, settle the face. We're here for just about another minute. And we'll begin to firm the belly down, bringing the lower back to the block. And gently bend the knees. Take a moment there, let your pelvis be heavy on the block. And then lift it, slide the block out of the way. And go ahead and set yourself up for Shavasana. Whatever you want to do. I'm going to guide us through a gentle rest in our Shavasana. So go ahead and wiggle around, stretch the legs and the arms away from the body, and gently soften yourself here. Find whatever is most comfortable and give yourself the opportunity to give the breath back to the body. There's nothing that you need to do now. There's no way to do this wrong. So just give yourself this time to completely rest, letting the whole body gently soften here, especially in the belly and the chest. Bring your attention to the soles of your feet. And welcome there any sensation or warmth. And then gently glide that awareness to the top of the kneecaps and to the hinges of the hips. So the whole length of both legs now deeply softens. Allow both legs here to be completely supported by the earth below you. And then draw your attention to your lower belly, to this gentle rising and falling of the belly as the body gently breathes itself. There's nothing that you need to do, nothing needs to change. And then gently draw that awareness up the front of the torso to the notch at the base of your throat, right along both collarbones as the whole torso softens. And then feel the weight of the front of the torso release back towards the earth below you, and even the spine settles here. The muscles surrounding the spine release, soften, and let go. And draw that attention out along that left collarbone. So this deep release happens through the left shoulder joint and all the way down the left arm into the center of your left palm. Whole left arm here, soft, supported by the earth. No holding or attention needed here, just a softness. And bring attention to the right palm. All of your awareness now in the center of your right palm. What do you notice there? What do you notice as that awareness moves up the right arm, all the way into the right shoulder, and this whole awareness of softness happens in the right arm. And both arms here deeply release. And bring attention to the notch at the base of your throat. And then gently bring all of that awareness to the bridge of your nose and this deep softening back and down of the bridge of the nose, broadening gently across the muscles at the back of your eyes, gliding down the hinges of the jaw, and you might notice now a sweet spaciousness between the upper and lower back teeth as the whole jaw softens. No clenching or holding necessary, just softness. And you may notice here your whole body resting, from soles of the feet to the crown of the head, from fingertips to fingertips, front of the body softening, back of the body softening. There's nothing to do here. Nothing to change, nothing to fix. Just a gentle, sweet release as the whole body is resting here. Notice how your body is breathing itself. And thinking mind, just like the body, rests back even more. This open, spacious awareness just radiating in all directions simultaneously. We'll take a moment here in silence together, just welcoming the way the body is resting, softening and letting go. Again, to welcome here how your body is breathing itself. The sensations on the skin, the sounds in the space around you. If you're ready to move, I invite you to gently blink your eyes back open as the body remains still. If you'd prefer to stay in Shavasana, then please stay. And slowly, gently, if you're moving, go ahead and make your way to a comfortable seated position. If you'd like, you can bring hands to prayer position, thumbs at the breastbone. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste. Delighted to share practice with you today.